Hello everyone and welcome to something slightly different on this channel. Today we're taking a look at a Windows-based machine, something we haven't done in a long time, and I very rarely take a look at Windows notebooks. But I do fix people's desktops and laptops every now and again for a little bit of extra cash. I don't get loads and loads in, but you know, people that know me and that, you know, friends or family or people that just are aware of my existence tend to you know, call me up if there's something wrong with their computer. Now, I have this laptop in front of me here. The interesting thing about this computer was it came to me about 2 weeks ago because it wouldn't start up. It wouldn't start up properly. It was just completely freaking out. It's got Windows 8 installed. It was just freaking out and being ridiculous, and it kept trying to repair the disk. It would refuse to boot into Windows. So I tried to recover the files, but it was kind of getting to the point where I was so annoyed with using this computer, I ended up taking the hard drive out, putting it in an enclosure and using my Mac to save all of their personal data. So I saved all of their photos, videos, documents and all the random stuff that was scattered on their desktop and stuff. Completely wiped that drive clean, installed Windows 8.1, did all the updates, installed Office, and gave it back, and they said, do you know what, perfect, it's faster than it's ever been, because it was still the original bloatware filled install. Faster than it's ever been, working fantastically, huge thanks. Cool, I thought that was a job out the way. Took me a couple of hours to, you know, save their files and stuff, so yeah, decent little job. But unfortunately, they have contacted me again to let me know that the computer is doing a similar thing again. Now, they described it as doing a similar thing. I've taken a look at it and I have just decided that it is not the same problem. I can get into Windows quite easily, but I have to wait for an absolute age. And the interesting thing is, the hard drive is much louder than I remember it being. So, someone may have dropped it. I'm not 100% sure. It's still in really good condition, so I highly doubt someone's dropped it. It could just be, you know, the stress of being taken in and out, and, you know, probably isn't the best drive anyway, blah, blah, blah. To cut a long story short, I think it's a faulty hard drive, and I have offered to take a look at it for them and try out a different hard drive, install Windows, and if it works fine, then they can pay me for that hard drive or get their own hard drive or whatever I decide. May not be the hard drive, I'm not 100% sure, but I hope it is, because that would be a nice easy fix. Basically, Windows hangs and crashes, and just seeking from the disk is extremely slow. So I'll show you exactly what happens in a minute. But yeah, other than that, quite a nice machine. It's an Asus machine, Asus, however you want to say it. These laptops are becoming pretty damn common around here, guys. I see them everywhere. This is a fairly decent model. I can't remember the specs off the top of my head, but it was sort of £450, so it wasn't the cheap out plasticky Asus option. This is actually metal on the inside. It's got a metal palm rest here and the wannabe MacBook Pro trackpad. However, the rest of the casing is indeed plastic. It is pretty much your bare basic Windows-based laptop. Not a bad little unit. The screen is okay. The screen is a lot better than the younger brother to this guy, or the downgraded version or whatever. In work we have one of these, but it's like the lower model, so it's plastic on the inside, and this is a nicer display. Not a big fan of the keyboards, but they're okay. Yeah, it's pretty much your bare basic laptop. I believe it's actually got a 1 terabyte drive in it at the moment, from what I can remember, or it could be a 500 gig or a 750 or something like that. But anyway, I'm going to boot it up to show you guys what happens. So this system has a glossy screen, so I'm really sorry for all the reflections. But yeah, let's just fire it up so you guys can see what it does. So it posts, as you can see, it says Asus. And the rest is a mystery. Sometimes it boots up, sometimes it doesn't. Let me sit down. So the Windows logo comes up, and the spinny thing comes up, and Windows 8 is normally really quick at starting up, and after I reinstalled 8.1 on this system, it was super quick at starting up. But now it seems to really struggle. You won't be able to hear it on the camera, but I can clearly, from about 2-3 feet away from the laptop, I can clearly hear the hard drive, much louder than it should be. but it's not making any kind of repetitive, you know, broken hard drive clicking sound. It's just really loud, and I'm not too sure why. And as you can see, that it's taking a while to boot, so that suggests that there's an issue with the hard drive. It can't read off the hard drive quick enough. But of course, that may not be the issue. You never know with these things. That's just what I'm guessing. It's always been the same with me, guys. I am, especially with Windows systems, I am 10 times better when it comes to fiddling with hardware than I am software. So lots of the time, if there's a problem like this, I end up just backing up people's files and restoring the whole system, because I find it easier than, you know, trawling through a load of Windows crap just to try and find what's wrong with it. And I'm not the best with this particular operating system anyway. But to me, I think, you know, I am pretty old school, but I think it is a hard drive issue. So I'm going to pause the camera here now because we don't want, you know, this video to get boring. And I will start up the camera again when something actually happens. So a tiny bit of time later, it was pretty much 30-40 seconds after I paused the camera, the Windows thing disappeared and we're now left with this blank screen. It has been doing this every now and again, and if the past is anything to go by, like, because I checked it out a couple of times before taking the computer away. I checked it out at their house. If the past is anything to go by, yeah, you'll get this blue screen. So this is Windows 8 now, and as you can probably tell by the background and stuff, it's pretty much a fresh install. So it's kind of laggy, but if I type in the password and it says welcome, so it's trying to pull up the desktop now, of course. Let's pull that up a bit. And, you know, it used to go straight in. This kind of waiting isn't something that you get with Windows 8. That took it took a very long time to boot up. You're talking 2 minutes, probably, maybe even 3 minutes. I'm not too sure. But as you can see, welcome, the thing is spinning, and, you know, that's pretty much all it's doing. Yeah, and I can clearly hear the hard drive still. Okay, so it boots up. Here we are in the Metro interface, which is pretty cool. And we can quite easily navigate. There's nothing wrong with the speed of the system in that regard. But when it comes to loading anything or whatever, it just crashes. So if we click on desktop, it sort of freezes. It doesn't crash and stay crashed forever. You can still see that these tiles are moving and whatnot, but see, the hard drive just growls when I click anything. So I've clicked desktop, and as you can see, it's really laggy coming up. Desktop's really, really laggy. And then, you know, if I want to load up the Metro interface again, okay, that's that's more speedy now, but of course it's in memory. That's what you got to remember. But it's still pretty laggy. And if you try and launch an application, you can see it. Yeah, we've got the spinny thing now. If you try and launch any kind of application or whatever, then it just craps out really. And, you know, the hard drive is going, it's making that sort of ticking, clicking noise. So, you know, I'm not 100% sure. I don't really know what the hell is going on here. As you can see, back to the desktop. Let's try and launch an application. Let's just see if we click on Microsoft Word, for instance. We'll click on Word, like so, and we just wait. Waiting. Still waiting. Should be a lot, you know, quicker than this. Much quicker. I mean, it's just a standard hard drive, but it's a decent laptop, and it was very zippy after I reinstalled. So, you know, naturally click again, because you get curious as to whether it's loading or not. And it's just a huge delay. Microsoft Word pops up instantly on pretty much any Windows computer. You know, it's a very fast program to open. And, yeah, nothing. So, yeah. So that is pretty much the extent of the issues with this system, guys. I'm not too sure if it is the hard drive, but I'm going to test it out to see if it is. I do have a spare 80 gigabyte SATA 2.5 inch drive. I believe it's 80 gig. I took it out my Mac Mini, so that's knocking about somewhere. And all I'm going to do is swap out the hard drives and see if this system is any more responsive. I'll throw an operating system on there really quickly. I'll probably throw on Windows 8, to be honest, just so I can test it out and see what it's like. So yeah, next clip will be getting out the drive. So here we are. Let's flip the system over, and I believe this back panel comes out. Like I said, I've taken this system apart before just to get the drive out to recover their data. So Only 2 shakes, guys. Just a couple of screws holding this in. Little bit of an odd design actually, but probably fairly common. Like I say, these Asus laptops are really common around here. I know loads of people that have these. I don't know if they've got good advertising or if they, I don't know what's happening, but there's just a lot available. This screw feels a little on the odd side in here. There we go. Just a little bit of a bigger one to get it out. Over tightened it a little bit too much last time I was in it. There we go, there's the screw out. So now, this cover is very interesting, guys. Let's see the frame. Yeah, the frame is good. This cover just pops off. And the cool thing is, here's your RAM, and there is your SD card slot. I think that's pretty cool. There's your wireless antenna thingy mabob. It's pretty cool because you get access to everything, because here's your RAM obviously, so you get direct access to the RAM. But anyway, this is where we're interested in. This is the hard drive. So you take out a couple of screws. I've already forgotten how to do this, which is crazy, but yeah. Take out this screw. And maybe this screw. And can we now slide it back and out? There we go, here's the drive. Let's get the laptop out of the way. Now, I am very suspicious of this hard drive, guys. I do indeed think it's dodgy. So it's definitely worth having a look. So it's got one of these brackets on it. Obviously, just get a lid on that to make it easier. Now 80 gigs is definitely a massive downgrade, and I think they have about 30 or 40 gigs of videos, so it would probably be more ideal for me to recommend a purchase of a new hard drive if this does indeed solve the issue. I hope it's nothing else. Hard drive, nice and simple, plain, easy. But yeah. This is the second time I've done this, like I said. I was using a Linux distribution, booting into a Linux distro, I can't remember which one now, to save the files, and it was just getting really annoying because I didn't have anything big enough to transfer the files. It was getting really frustrating. Right, let me find another drive. Well guys, after hunting high and low, the only 2.5 inch SATA device I can find is this OWC SSD. Yeah, this was donated to the channel a while ago, of course, by Matt, I believe. Huge thank you, buddy. I'm not keeping this in this laptop, but it'll be good for testing. So it's coming straight back out, but yeah. Like I say, it's the only thing I can find. Can't find the 80 gig drive that came out of my Mac Mini, so that's really annoying. But the cool thing is about this SSD is, you know, obviously they're really reliable and stuff, so I know it's pretty much going to work off the bat. It's only 30 gig, it's not big enough, but it's big enough to get an install on here just to try out to see if Windows performs okay on this SSD. What I may do is temporarily give this to the owner with the SSD in it to see if they're happy with the speed, and then they can buy their own hard drive, and I will then install it and proceed like that. So here we have it, the OWC SSD. Let's get this in, of course. That is plugged in. Simple as that, guys. That's the nice thing about most of these style laptops. They are definitely very easy to upgrade and work inside, but to be perfectly honest, they've got to be, you know, the amount of people that drop their computers or whatever and they need a hard drive replacement, or, you know, if they need a RAM upgrade for whatever reason. But I'm mainly inside these for hard drives. So I'm really annoyed that I don't have a SATA drive to test this with. I found about 3 IDE 2.5-inch drives, but of course testing it with this SSD will be fine for now. I don't really mind. Just would have been nice, that's all. And yeah, I know I do own some. I've shown them in my videos and stuff, but I've had stuff out absolutely everywhere this week. I've got colossal disorganization because I've been taking my lights out and everything for this job that I've been doing, this performance and stuff. It's a long story, blah blah. The bottom line is I can't find anything at the moment, so I haven't properly lost them. It's just a case of finding out where they are. So, system restore, Windows 8.1. Let's slam this in the side. If I can find the button. There we go. Boom. Let's go and see what it does. Hopefully boot from the disk. Let me install on the SSD. Well, it's a good start anyway. It's spinning the disk. So just gone through the basic steps of the Windows 8 installer. Windows 8 is now going on to the SSD. A little side note, I found my Mac Mini drive. It was in an external enclosure. Yeah. How annoying. Anyway, it'll be quicker on this SSD, and I was going to take them both out anyway because they were just in there for testing. So here we have it, guys. Windows 8 installed, and this thing is being as snappy as anything. Really, really snappy. So I do assume it was something to do with that hard drive, whether it was the drive itself, or I'm not quite sure. It may have just been something that went wrong with the install. No idea, but this is being extremely snappy. Of course, it's running from an SSD, so it's being really snappy. But just to make sure there are no memory issues, I've got MemTest86 version 5.1 here, one of the handiest tools, and I highly recommend any geek out there downloads it. It's so handy. So you can just restart your computer and then boot from it. I always forget how the frig you turn these things off. So restart, and it'll restart into MemTest86. And that'll just check the memory over a few times. I'll leave it doing that for a little while. Memory should be okay. So the cool thing is MemTest86 starts running straight away. The interface looks a bit different to how it used to. Looks a lot better in my opinion, you know, now that it's black instead of blue. But yeah, it starts running straight away, and we'll wait for a couple of passes, and we should be good to go on the memory, really, guys. I think we're in the money here. I used this 80GB drive last time to transfer some files off of this computer, so I won't do photos and videos, but I'll put Word documents and the whole documents folder back on this system and install Office, and then give it back to them with my SSD in it, just to see if they're happy with the performance of the system and if it lasts. And if they are, I'll order them a hard drive and stick that in, and then I can get my SSD back. So that's pretty cool. Could be the fault of this guy. It is a 1TB Hitachi SATA 2.5-inch drive, just your standard drive. But yeah, could be the fault of that guy. So let's let this run for a little while. Alright guys, it's been going for 25 minutes, 0 errors, so I'm pretty happy. I've changed my mind in the last 25 minutes. I am not going to give this back with this SSD in it. I'm going to give it another shot tomorrow, even though it's running really, really well. I'm going to give it another go. But it's pretty much running flawlessly, really speedy. So I can pretty much put it down to the fact that it was the drive. So I'll get in touch with them tomorrow, and we'll go from there. But yeah, I can't be bothered to install Office and go through all of that stuff just to give it back, you know, temporarily, and then have to do it all again. So guys, that was a fun little video. I don't often do the Windows laptop stuff, like I said, and this wasn't really anything interesting, but by putting the SSD in there, we proved that there was pretty much nothing wrong with the machine. It's just the hard drive that's nearly crapped out. Another interesting thing, I put this as an external enclosure and plugged it into my Mac Pro, and it was very, very slow to seek files even through that. It was really sluggish to open files and that. I was playing a couple of sounds from the Windows folder, and also trying to play some videos, and it was pretty much refusing to play any videos. So yeah, it's interesting. I think that hard drive, we can pretty much call it nearly knackered. I'm no expert, but yeah, that's probably what it is. So like I said in the previous clip, I'll talk to them about ordering a drive, and that is probably this repair sorted. You may see another video on it, you may not, it depends on the response on this one, but I hope you guys have enjoyed regardless, and of course I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. I'm sorry this week wasn't ending on a bit of a higher note, you know. We have a nearly fixed laptop, so that's kind of good. But anyway, like I said, hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you all in Monday's video. Start. So this SSD is a SATA 3 SSD, and as you can see, not too bad on the right there. And surprisingly, the read is actually a little bit lower